Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another live session on PRPOI, the award winning platform for upskilling in public relations. Thank you for joining us today for this session. It's going to be a lovely discussion. I'm your host, Tarunjit Ratan, and I'm delighted to welcome you to a discussion today on the survey results of our report on State of PR and Comms 2023. Now, this is a global industry survey that was undertaken to understand how PR and communication professionals across industries are dealing with the conversation of economic slowdown. The PR industry has always been agile, swift to adapt to change, but this new curveball, will it really slow us down? And with all of us getting busier by the week, where we also juggle balance client expectations, agency growth, talent acquisition, like every other month, what will the impact of global market conditions be like for the industry this year? As per the survey, progress and growth quoted on the industry this year solely depends on the share of the trust pie that the PR team takes home with them. So, what's the state of the PR and comms industry today? And how will it impact you and me? To have this discussion, we have with us an excellent panel who will delve into the subject. I would like to add Akriti Bhargava first. Hey, Akriti. So, Akriti is the co founder and COO of Wizikey, which is also the team that has powered this entire massive study. Akriti has spent over 2 decades in the field of communication and is a data champion. Add these two together, and you have a wizard that understands PR and numbers and a way to match the two. And that's exactly what she does at Wizikey for the entire PR industry today. Our second panelist today is Sonali Sokal, adding her on. Hey, Sonali. Sonali is a seasoned PR professional, runs a successful PR boutique firm with sector agnostic clients. She's also the co founder of PRPOI. She has around 2 years, 2 decades of experience in the industry and has seen many a cycle repeat itself. Her insight today is going to be based in experience. Our second panelist today is Prachi Sharma. Let me add her on. Hey, Prachi. So Prachi leads the Public Relations and Communications Department at Cars24, which is India's online marketplace for second-hand vehicles. Prachi has been in the industry for over 7 years, firm believer in the influence of storytelling and the power of effective communication. And before I hand the discussion over to the panel, which is going to be hosted by Akriti, who's going to have this discussion with both our panelists, I would like to take a moment to give a shout out to our excellent content curators and my co-founders, Pooja Trehan and Sonali Sokal, for putting this together, and of course, the wonderful team at Wizikey for powering this up. So over to you, Akriti. Akriti, you're on mute.
That always happens to me. Okay. Thank you so much for having me, Tarun. Also, for the opportunity of bringing the findings out, helping all of us understand, curating the survey with us, and helping all of us understand how we are going to live through these uncertain times. And I know that uncertainty, it gets to all of us. We don't know what's going to happen. And a survey is just a harbinger, right? It helps us sort out, it helps us figure out whether we are preparing for the worse or for the better, right? And Sonali and Prachi, Sonali, you must be working across brands with so many brands at a time, and your experience itself must be across, I'm sure, 500 plus brands. And Prachi, you've just taken on the role of head of PR, right? So you must be taking these challenges head on, day after day, and talking to company, your heads, your management, your leadership as to how to navigate these times. While we have the survey findings, what we really want to know from you is how do you tackle these on a day-to-day basis? And how are you looking at the horizon? Are you looking at whether this is going to change us for the better? Is it just a temporary situation? Are we going to navigate these through and emerge stronger? So thank you so much again for joining me. So, Sonali, why don't we start with you? And very quickly, I'd love to understand 9 out of 10 businesses, as the survey has said, are going to not cut down or are not having any impact, right? So, if we navigate to this slide, which says, are not facing any major impact. Sonali, please tell me, Are you also seeing this number as true? Are we ahead of this number or are we behind this number? Are we still going to see some impact coming up, or is it, are we like, already through this and this will only get better?
So I think India is overall not impacted by the global slowdown. That's what I feel. I felt a dip, I'll tell you, in end 2022, and I felt it only in the startup sector,
Hmm.
where I suddenly noticed that funding was becoming, that bull run as we call it in funding. I felt, like a lot of for our clients also that things were changing. But I've seen a very quick regroup. And I think now that we are sitting in March 23, I am noticing that the market is looking pretty positive. And yes, I would go with this number on that respect.
Right. But tell me something. There are a lot of global brands who have like, there is a sheer massive cut down. And this is only also for profitable companies.
Yeah.
Now, have you seen some companies here just laying low because of the uncertainty? Are they kind of, like, earlier everybody was bullish, right? We are talking about 2021, everybody was so bullish, so bullish. And 2022 mid is when we started saying, oh, there is going to be an impact. So are you saying that, people are curbing their spends, not increasing spends? Where is it right now? So I'm
No,
going
I
to give
think
you three
people,
options.
yeah, so I'll answer that for you. I think what is happening is people are becoming much more circumspect about how they spend that money, right?
Okay.
It's not like they're not spending the money, but they want a better bang for the buck. The magical phrase called ROI is becoming more and more, upfront. People are very upfront about it. Clients are very upfront about it, and I think there is a realistic understanding that money has to be spent, but where is it
Hmm.
going to be spent, and how is it going to be spent, and what are they going to get in return? So I think
Hmm.
I would not say that they are curbing expenses. I think they are becoming much more careful in terms of scrutiny of those expenses.
Hmm. Okay. So Prachi, do you align with Sonali on this? Is there a lot of
Uh,
scrutiny of expense? And what is the level? Is everybody checking on 1,000 rupees, a lakh? What is the threshold where people are saying, "Oh, let's look at all the expenses above 1 lakh or below 1 lakh"? What is happening from your point of view?
so I'll tell you what is happening, Akriti, completely aligned with Sonali here. I think there is a lot of opportunity in uncertainty, right? So while people are
Hmm.
spending, they are also trying to utilize it more creatively. They don't want to
Hmm.
spend. What I have seen internally at Cast 24 is that we want, like, essentially everything comes down to trust, right? Anything that helps us to take the trust factor to the customer, that's where we are picking it up. That's exactly what we are doing. Of course, people want to understand कि यार अगर 1,000 रुपए भी you're spending somewhere, where is that money going and what is your ROI? In terms of
Hmm.
PR, right? PR is very subjective and extremely qualitative. You cannot explain
Hmm.
the investment at that very moment, but it's a long-term game, right? However,
Hmm.
I think companies have become more intelligent in the way they are spending. In 2020, 2021, people were spending lavishly. Anything and everything they were
Yeah.
spending on World Cups and FIFAs and everything for to build their brand. And now people want to know, if even if I'm investing 1,000 rupee in a particular place, where and what do I see and how will it impact my brand 5 years down the line? So the any plan that a company is making in terms of their marketing, branding, and PR, it is not just for like the next 2-3 months. It is for 5 years down the line, and that is where their
Hmm.
expenses are going.
Hmm. Okay. So companies are consolidating their costs. They are looking at longer term investments and they are saying, where can we get, there is no immediate ROI, but let me see if this will have an impact in 1 year. Because
Right.
business slow down, So do you think in this scenario, Prachi, has there been a shift in the way you articulate your objectives? How is a brand seeing PR spend? What objective is it chasing with PR?
Right. Definitely. Definitely. There has been a massive shift. In fact, recently we were working on our long term strategy and how we want to see it. 5 years down the line, we don't want of course, want to be a leading brand, but most importantly, we want to be the most trustworthy brand that is there in the country. Right? That is the main objective. So, any type of story, any type of messaging, anything that you're doing, your objective is very clear, your communication is very clear there, and that is how you're spending on your PR. If anything is not aligning with your clear objective of building trust with the customers, Let's not do it
Hmm.
right now. Maybe in the future sometime we'll see it, but right now the objective is to build trust for the next 5 years. That is it.
Wow. I think that is an amazing, because that's what our findings are also resonating with. I'm just going to, share the slide again. And here is what our, PR and comms has become a top priority. And the main thing for brands is to build trust, right? Sonali, do you see that in the way companies are coming to you? Existing clients, are they saying that, we want to shift our objective, our narrative? And are there new pitches that are happening with a completely new objective? Because, are we past the time when companies said that, tell me exactly how many link backs are we getting? So, what's your view?
I think these are not things that you can put blanket statements on. I think, there'll be always be all sorts of clients. So there are always going to be certain clients who say, no, I want immediate results, or I want the next 3 months to be bombastic, or I want to talk about this. But then there will always be those few, seasoned and evolved clients who will come to you and say, I am looking at building a long-term narrative for the brand, right? And
Hmm.
and I have seen that evolution happen. So for certain clients who were very arrogant, for instance, they were burning through funding money. There was a certain arrogance among them where they said that, okay, uh, we are the best and we are doing this and we are doing that and we want to be written about like that in media. Today, there is a certain desire to first bring out that whole concept of mission and vision of a brand. There was a
Hmm?
time
Really?
when there was a time when these were statements were not, nobody really talked about them, nobody really thought about them. But today, a lot of brands want that out there in terms of the narrative building, because they are
Hmm.
realizing that just trying to push one more product launch or just trying to push another, getting the CEO's mug on the newspapers is not going to give them long term results. Ultimately, how do you build consumer credibility is only through making sure that people understand your mission, they understand the vision of the brand. So
Hmm.
yes,
All
but like I said, for every three or four clients doing that, you will also get three or four clients who are looking at very short term objectives. And I don't think that's going to change. That's just the way the market is.
right. No, Prachi here has validated, Sonali, something for us that, long term is where the spends are happening. So, one critical thing here, do you think companies are ready to spend more on PR now? Sonali, first I'll ask you this because you're seeing a variety. And then, Prachi, you tell me later, and I'll come to you with the question. But Sonali, tell me, are brands ready to spend more on PR in an environment where they have cut down all large costs on SEM and SEO? I mean, not even SEO, but SEM largely.
Yeah, so I think what has happened is, where else will they spend? Advertising is no, no. See, look at it. Let's look at it logically. Advertising in print and is prohibitive. TV, I don't know. It's become a minefield. Mostly normal TV channels. You don't. It's become so fragmented. The audience, your educated audience, is sitting on a Netflix or an OTT. They're not even going to watch mainstream TV. Mainstream TV is again. I don't even know who sees it, sorry, but like I am sure it has viewership, but I don't know who are the people. There was a time when a TVC campaign used to get so many eyeballs. Today it's all about YouTube campaigns and everybody is online, right? So where print ads prohibitively expensive, you have no way of gauging for anybody yet that how many people have actually seen or been impacted by that print ad, right? So where are you going to spend the money? On how are you going to spend that money? So
Hmm.
ultimately, what you are left with is PR, because PR is still
Hmm.
so, the surviving cockroach of the marketing world. There, it's so much easier to calculate ROI. I mean, especially with everything going digital, every website you have today, you can calculate how many impressions. If you're going out with influencers, you can calculate how many impressions you got. With influencers, brands can calculate a direct impact on how many people visited their website. Also, unfortunately, Meta has been very happily, they keep shooting themselves in the foot, First, they shot Facebook in the foot by making it impossible to, the algorithms kept changing. It's become a mess. Facebook, nobody wants to go to now. I think they're very soon going to do the same thing with Instagram, because it's like, it becomes like that horrific matrix where the moment you spend 1 rupee on Instagram, you have to continue spending, and brands have become very smart now. They're realizing that, okay, I mean, beyond a point, performance marketing will only do this much for me. And every time I spend that 1 rupee on performance marketing, my ROI will keep reducing, because that's what Meta does.
Very
Yeah.
interesting, Sonali. I think I'm just going to make a tweet-worthy statement that you and made just now. PR is the cockroach of marketing,
It
and
is the cockroach of
may
marketing, because we survive, I was really, and I realized this in COVID, because I thought, yeah, दुनिया खत्म होने वाली है और सबको press release निकाल है. So फिर that
correct.
is I thought कि, okay, it's not so bad. We will definitely survive. I mean, so jokes apart, I also feel, it's so much easier to measurability is just easier in PR when it comes to these things. So that is
On
why,
that statement here, just
yeah,
Prachi, is PR the cockroach of marketing and is TV the unicorn?
I definitely completely support Sonali here. And when 5 years down the line, 2 years down the line, when I was working with an agency, and I realized, oh my God, what is happening? The world is about to end, and everybody is just doing PR. They're doing announcements. They want to do this. They want to do that, and completely yes. However, how I see PR is every particular brand saving grace. Nobody today does PR thinking I might get customers or I might get clients. What brands are doing PR for is that in the time of crisis, no other medium is going to come and assist. So I think PR is more like a superhero that's hidden and it's going to come and save the brand when everything else is falling apart for them. So that's how I'm going to align it. TV, of course, people are watching it. There are a lot of investments that are going in. But I think the mode is now changing towards OTT, and all these things depends on brand to brand. For certain brands, the consumer is still watching TV, then for certain brands people have moved towards different modes, like they want to hear more podcasts, they want to hear more panel discussions, they want to be on YouTube. So again, that completely depends from brand to brand. However, I personally feel of PR, or how I see PR, is that when everything else will fall apart for you, PR is going to be the thing that saves you, and that is why brands are investing now.
Got it. That is so, Prachi, if you are spending more on PR, what else are you spending on? And are you spending more on? I'm going to give you options here. Are you spending more on agencies to increase the frequency? And is there enough messaging now that companies are crafting for the lack of spending on other things? So, our marketing folks also redirected to working on PR, trust mandates, employer branding mandates, product launch mandates. Is that happening? Uh, is there a credibility that is getting built via PR?
Yeah.
Okay. So how?
Definitely, definitely. That is happening, and I think that will never ever stop.
Okay. Nice. So you're saying that more money is coming because because a survey gives us a counter view here, right? So there are no budget cuts as such, but an increase. Only 51% companies are saying they're going to increase. The remaining are saying that they are going to it's going to remain the same. A 50, like a 9% are saying that they're going to decrease. So if they're spending more, which 51% are, our audience, I think, will be very excited about this fact, and that you guys have validated it. So is there, where are they spending? So give me a sense, Prachi, what have you done extra over the last 3 or 4 months, which has been beyond the scope of what you started out with?
Right. So Akriti, in the last 3 to 4 months, what I've realized is that my audience, the kind of people that I want to cater to, are now.
Oh, she's dropped off. Sonali, we'll just take this with you. Where do you think the mandates are evolving to, right? So if companies are ready to spend more, what are they going to do with those extra spends? And of course, on an overall level, they might have cut down the budgets from 100 to 75, but the increase in spends for PR are 20 to 30. So that is almost a 33% increase. Where are they spending?
I think creative storytelling is definitely a
Okay.
way they are spending. And when I say creative storytelling, I think you're seeing a lot more collaborations happening between two different brands. A lot of our brands are now collaborating with each other. So that's one place where they are spending for sure. I think offline events are back with a bang. I think in Delhi, I think there's 5 events every day. Brands are, especially in the lifestyle sector that I work in, a lot of offline events are happening, much more than they used to even in 2019 pre-pandemic, right? And I think there are a lot more spends are going on to influencer marketing. Like a lot of our brands which were traditional brands उनको print media से आगे they never understood, you know. Today they are saying,
Hmm.
okay, we want influencers. Earlier it was, you know, they wanted everything for free from influencers because they didn't respect that segment. But today they are
Right.
realizing that they have to pay, they have to enter into professional contracts, they have to streamline their they have to create campaigns, quarterly campaigns, they have to streamline those campaigns, they have to pay good money for that. And they are also realizing they have to pay media.
Oh,
So
okay.
earlier, you know, earlier it used to be that, okay, you know, media owes me a story. But today it is, okay, you know, what can we, let's sit across the table, let's work with media for collaborative properties with media. Let us work with them and understand what they want and where are they coming from and how can we
Hmm.
both
Hmm.
support each other. So I think, yes, those
Wow.
spends are definitely being directed there.
Wow. Okay. So that is amazing. If more spends are coming and PR teams are donning the role of buying media, right? For paid media, they're doing influencers. Influencers, I would also say, is a lot of management of spends. Prachi, would you tell me how you are evolving your team? And then I'm going to come to Sonali to understand how you're evolving your team. But Prachi, first you tell me from a brand perspective, how large is your team today and how are you looking at evolving it in the next 1 year?
So at present, we are a team of 25 people, and all of us definitely combine branding, marketing, all of us. We do it all together. We all sit together, brainstorm ideas, and we will continue hiring more people. Definitely, we will be hiring more people for PR. We are working with an agency as well, and that is how we will be evolving. However, one thing that we now look at it when we are hiring people is how much understanding do they have of different platforms in terms of PR, right? Now when I'm talking about different platforms, I'm not talking about your hybrid media or your online media. I'm also talking about your social media, because social media happens to be a great medium for your for your brand when it comes to PR. Whether they have
Hmm.
understanding of YouTube. Now in the next 5 years, Kriti, what how I see is that more brands will start investing on YouTube. They would want their
Hmm.
brands to be coming in, whether it is Zomato, whether it will be Nykaa. They're already doing great stuff. An Academy, Apna, uh, Cast 24 will start working on its YouTube channel now, and I think PR would be shifting their gears to more on social media side as well. So we look for people who understand social media aspect now, so that we can leverage their creativity on that side.
Oh, I see that, as a function in the company, we're going to evolve from a cockroach to a hybrid of cockroach and unicorn. The cockroach con. What is the word we
Absolutely.
are getting to? Like roach con or uni roach.
I love
So
that. I love RoachCon.
RoachCon. Okay. So I see that you are building, Prachi, a team that understands YouTube, influencers, because we've also noticed this through data that there, whether you ask for it or not, but a lot of word of mouth that was originally on broadcast level, where company disseminated or distributed a certain announcement and it got there on papers. But today people find out on their own, and we found that YouTube is a place where a lot of companies are finding content on themselves which they had not initiated. Management is going to become quite a big thing.
Absolutely.
So now you tell me, are you evolving your team? How's your team looking like, and how is it distributed into functions today? Hmm.
No, so I have always looked for diversity of skill sets because, when
Mm-hmm.
you're a boutique agency, you end up becoming a marketing arm for a lot of clients,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Okay.
unlike traditional agencies, which are big steamships, which are big mercantile vessels on the high seas, and therefore making those left and right turns might take like 2 3 hours, a couple of hours. In that sense, we are little speedboats, and we can do those maneuvering much faster than the big
Mm-hmm.
ships. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's one pro for us. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, the kind of people we hire have to have multiple skill sets. So there might be people who can think very good in terms of corporate PR, or working in that universe, very good with content, somebody very good with social media, etc. Somebody who's really good with networking, because in PR today it's all about your network. My network has helped me to get clients on board on say being able to put together a marathon for a brand, because like to go running, which is totally unrelated to work, right? But I'm just trying to tell you that what I'm just trying to say here is that ultimately you need hustlers, you need networkers, you need critical thinkers, you need analysts, you need workers, um, you need researchers, you need people with really good social media skill sets. I mean, I have one or two people in my team who are only looking into influencers. They live on Instagram as
Mm-hmm.
and there are some who would have nothing to do with that. So
Yeah.
my whole realization is two things. First is that in today's time you're going to have to learn a little bit of everything. You need to have to learn to be a generalist, because the same client who today wanted corporate PR tomorrow will want influencers, and the third day will want a brand collaboration, and the fourth one will say, okay, can we do like a great event offline,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
How are you going to be able to service that client if you
Hmm.
have people in only one category? So I think I encourage my team members also to try and think differently.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
You can't just think in one direction all the time. um,
Mm-hmm.
I feel content skills are going to become even better, and it's not necessarily only written content that you have to be good at. Somebody could be good at pictures, somebody could be good at one liners, somebody could be good at video content. So that all has to evolve. I myself am sitting and doing a course on how to make a reel, but I think it's okay. You have to skill up, right?
Yeah, yeah, no, this is very interesting what you've put in as a line. Prachi, you are, way younger, and maybe from my perspective, like just out of college into few years of experience, and you've taken a fantastic role. How are you evolving? Are you also, what is your take on this evolution? Were you prepared by education to do this?
Honestly, no, I wasn't.
See, some hard truths.
Absolutely. So when I was in college, nobody told me that working is gonna be like this. No, we were taught, the way you do PR is you gotta do press releases. That's the format of a press release. You gotta do this. This is the format. Your ET happens to be the most important thing. Your Times of India is very important. Your News 18 and smaller portals, they're not as important. So you gotta, we were not taught to deal with the ever evolving things. I'll give you a great example. Google Analytics is very important to my role right now. Nobody taught that to me in college, right? I need to understand. So whenever we are doing, I'll give you a very recent example. If you're doing a press release in a regional market,
I think we've lost Prachi again on here.
So
Sonali,
I
what
take
I,
that up as an answer, okay? And
yeah.
I'll tell you, I think we sometimes over expect from education also, okay? No, no, let me explain to you
And-
why I'm coming. See, unless you're going to become a lawyer who has to know all the finer points of law, or you're going to become a doctor who needs to, specialize in a field of medicine, or an engineer who needs to know how something works, most jobs are common sense.
Mhm.
Yeah. And yes, good R&R, हमारे time पे बोलते थे R&R, which is reading and writing.
Oh, it wasn't rewards and recognition.
Not that happened when they started giving all the primary schools an award for running, participating in the race and not for winning.
Hmm.
Okay. So what
Okay.
I'm trying to say is that, look, analytical thinking is taught to you in a school. When you do, say, a comprehension passage in English language, you learn to read between the lines and you learn to answer a question for a specific question. That's how we were taught, right? And that's exactly what you do in PR. You read a document and you pick out and cull out the most important parts of it and you put that content. Why in PR? You put it and do it in a lot of these things, right?
Hmm.
You learn to make a list, you learn to write an email. Unfortunately, I don't know what they're doing in today's school. Nobody knows how to write an email. We
Yeah.
were taught business email कैसे लिखते हैं, business letter कैसे लिखते हैं, personal letter कैसे लिखते हैं, alignment कैसी होती है. All these things are missing from the school system today.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I'm sure they're teaching
Hmm.
it, but maybe they're
So
not
now we
like.
are digressing here. I'm going to come
No,
back to the
I'm
point
coming
here.
to the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the point
Hmm.
I'm coming to is I think we over expect from education because PR nobody can teach you in a book.
Hmm.
It's too dynamic an environment.
Hmm.
And no book, no university is going to be equipped to teach you PR beyond a basic five, six
Hmm.
points of PR, right? At the
Hmm.
best, you can teach children how to write a good press release.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
At the
Yes.
best, you can teach them how to what is the media landscape out there,
Hmm. Hmm.
and that's it.
I
Or
completely
that
agree
we
with
said,
Sonali here.
yeah,
One point that I would
because
like to add is that
absolutely over to you, Prachi. Anyway, this was your question.
no. So one thing that I would like to say is that PR is all about how you build your relationships with all your stakeholders. That is something that no school, no education system can ever tell you how to build your relationships, and through what medium, and how, right? In that scenario, what a professional into the this dynamic field can do is continue to learn new things, because you cannot stop oh, I know how to write a press release and that is the end, right? You need to keep on evolving your own self, equip yourself with new skills, whether it is your Google Analytics, whether it is understanding data happens to be very important right now, right? Because you can be the best content writer in the world, but if you can't understand data, you can't do a proper storytelling, right? So now
Hmm.
understanding your data, understanding your analytics, seeing your uptakes, seeing new mediums, what are people reading, understanding your janta, that is
Hmm.
something that education has never taught any of us. And however, you continue to evolve when you're in the field, when you're in the industry, and there is no choice,
Hmm.
also there is no option, you got to do it.
Yeah, so I'm going to agree with both of you. Sonali, I totally agree with you that there is a lot of our job is common sense. Somebody very, very senior and at a very in a leadership position in one of the listed companies in India recently told me that look, we weren't taught how to unlearn, but his son who's going to MIT, the first thing he's taught is how to unlearn, right? Because that is something that all of us are constantly doing in a fast, digitally evolving world. Sonali, I'm going to come to you to ask you how you are training your newbies and the new folks who are coming in with the way Prachi's entered the industry. But Prachi, just before we complete it here, uh, are you so you said that you're expanding your team and you're looking at these skill sets of knowing digital. Uh, Given that we're approaching a uni roach kind of a function wherein we will be doing a lot of spends, do you think that the budgeting and how we are going to be, are we going to be more part of marketing or are we going to evolve as a separate function as we enter this new era where PR is evolving a lot?
I think PR for now, for the next 2-3 years, it is going to be part of marketing, because it is very difficult to explain PR to people. So it will continue to function as a part of marketing. However, slowly and steadily, 3 to 4, 5 years down the line, you will see PR evolving as a different function altogether, wherein companies are investing more heavily into their PR teams and how everything is functioning. So definitely, it's right now completely under marketing. 5 years down the line, as a separate function altogether.
Hmm. Great. So, Sonali, now please tell me, the survey has indicated that PR is industry is going to earn more moolah, but maybe in different avatar, as we have just discussed, or maybe even continue for some, months and years in its current version. That means more talent. That means we will have to deal with all the quiet quitting. How do you handle team volatility in this backdrop? And what's your training? Are you doing a lot of training and all? You're on mute. You cannot hear me? You're on mute. Okay. Okay. So Prachi, let's just take this question in a different context, right? You've been part of agencies in the past, right? And I would want to understand what was your biggest area, what you missed while where you were seeing brand, like, brand gives you a different perspective and agency gives you a different perspective. In the current slowdown, what did you miss in an agency, or what are you missing right now as a brand?
Well, when I was in an agency, I think the ability to execute your plans, it depends largely on the brand, right? You can just suggest alternative methods of doing things, and that depends completely on the brand whether they would like to implement and execute it or not. That is one thing that I missed in an agency. What I miss when I'm working in a brand is that I worked with different clients, so you know what is happening in different industries and different fields, what new is happening, and what is it that what learning that you can take from one particular brand to implement that learning in a different brand. I think that one learning bit is missing in the brand side. However, both of them have their own pros and cons. I personally, I think I love working on the brand side because it's just a lot more quicker, it's faster,
Yeah.
and the turnaround time for everything is a lot lower than when it is in the it is in an agency.
Okay, so I'm going to take some questions that the audience have put in here and quickly take one of them with you, which is given the fact that now most corporates want to hire young CopCom professionals with a job description of 5 people. You're one of them, right? How important is experience to brands in handling their reputation?
Honestly, right now brands are not looking at experience when it comes to PR. What they want is whether the person is able to creatively give them ideas, to give them alternative methods of uh, executing stuff, and how quick the person learns. That happens to be very important. Of course, experience comes handy when it is all about your resume, but when you're having a conversation with the founders, you realize that experience does not matter to them. What matters is how much you love the brand, how creative you are, how quick you are to learn, unlearn, and execute, and what is it that you can do differently that older folks, people who are boomers, they might not understand right now. I'd give you an
Okay,
example.
that's a huge call out.
I would give you a very recent example. I was talking to somebody from Zomato because I wanted to learn what is it that they are doing in terms of PR, and they gave a very simple and very sweet thing, is that we hire people who are young so that we understand what is new in the market and what are the new trends, because those are your consumers and those are your customers of the future, right? So it's very important to understand the changing behavior.
Okay, and I would agree with that. It's very important to embrace the changing behavior and not be like our parents or grandparents who kind of said that everything that is happening now is not that great. It was much better in our time. Like हमें 2 रुपए का समोसा मिलता था, right? Okay, love the description. PR is every brand saving grace. Thanks Sonali for that. This is a audience question from Tarun directly. Is that should the remuneration for PR folks not be accordingly? What is the top challenge, Sonali, in increasing the remuneration of PR folks?
Top challenges client retainers. I feel that clients want PR, they want the Earth, Moon, and stars, but they're not willing to pay for it. And I think that will only come when we have a standardization of rates across PR agencies. Because the problem is, even if you say no and even if you start drawing the line, there are 20 other agencies, which are
Spring up.
ready to undercut and they are ready to spring up and do shoddy work. And in India, unfortunately, we have always had this mindset. Whether you're a baby boomer or a Gen Xer or a millennial or a zillennial, also, you always will want to penny pinch, especially when it comes to clients. So that mindset has not changed across, and people are not ready to pay, and they want a lot. And I think that puts a lot of pressure on agencies to maintain quality, pay remuneration, increase salaries. Though I have to say that in the past year, salaries have gone pretty much higher. They are much more decent than they used to be earlier. So yes,
Hmm.
that change I have seen in a very positive manner happen across the board. People and has allowed us to also hire better
Hmm.
talent overall. So
Okay.
yeah, that. But yes, I
So
think the
Shri,
main problem is getting a universal standard. What
yeah.
is the scope of work going to be, and how much are we going to do in that scope of work for the client?
Got it. No, I totally, from my point of view, I totally agree with you because I don't think there's one standard. See, standardization comes from metrics. What are you want to achieve for the brand? And today, I see that, companies are starting to embrace metrics. They're starting to say, okay, is there a Google Analytics impact, like Prachi is saying? Is there a Google user impact by doing campaigns, like you're saying? That, messaging is becoming more of a trust thing, and you're looking at whether you're tracking that messaging or not. But is there a standardization? I'm still to see that whether this will become like an 80% universal or 50% universal. We are still very, very distributed and fragmented in how people embrace metrics. So, but Prachi, Sonali, just one ask. Are you, now that with your distributed roles in, are you embracing softwares? And what are the softwares helping you do?
So mainly we've not embraced too many softwares yet. I'll be very candid. But yeah, things like Scribe work for us very well. We've gone completely online when it comes to research, and all our media databases are now online, or our Mac. We're like all of that has gone online.
Hmm.
Uh, Not yet working with a lot of software, to be very honest with you. And I think
Okay.
that's something we need to work on. In fact, in the past 2 months, the amount of AI based support systems I have realized, beyond of course the infamous chat GPT, it's very interesting because I feel that a lot of those can be used by us in PR. And I keep saving them up, and I'm going to have to make the time from normal work to actually research them and see what we can implement at work.
Got it. Prachi, you tell us about this. Are you embracing
I
softwares? Are you
Yes,
standardizing something?
we are completely embracing softwares because I think what happens to PR is that it's very difficult to measure the impact. It becomes very qualitative and not quantitative. We To quantify everything and anything, we are taking help of certain softwares that can guide us to a more measurable PR, right? So definitely, and we'll continue to embrace more softwares to help and support what we aim to achieve in the next 3 to 5 years.
Hmm. Got it. Now, I want another question coming from audience. Pooja. Pooja is founder of PRPOI, and I think what she wants to know, what is that metric that has changed for companies to see value created by PR? Prachi, to you.
Right. To change, the changing metrics is now beyond how many coverage have you gotten. The metric that has changed is how many people have you reached out to through larger portals, right?
Got it.
Your metric happens to be whether or not you were participated in a podcast this quarter, or
Hmm.
whether or not you engaged with a different set of influencers this quarter, or perhaps how many stories you got in social XYZ. Now, social XYZ for us is a very cat C portal in terms of PR lingo, but
Yeah. Yeah.
people are reading that. Were you able to crack it? Were you able to build your relationship with that journalist? Right? That happens to be different measurable metrics that we are taking. Definitely, we take into account how many interviews that the company did, how many relationships did we build with certain journalists, how many podcasts or newer form of mediums did we participate in, whether or not we were part of case studies this year. Now, when it
Hmm.
comes to case studies, whether or not case studies that are reaching colleges, right? Whether you participated in a case study that was developed by an IIT or an
Hmm.
IIM, were you there or not? So these are certain changing measurable metrics that we are taking. Of course, in the future, definitely when the companies are building more PR on social media, whether it's YouTube or Instagram, we will be changing those analytics as well. What was the reach? What was the impression? How much was the engagement? What was the subscriber rate?
I'm just
Different.
amazed, Prachi, the amount of expectations you have. from your agency or from your function. Sonali, question to you. Are you seeing similar Copcom and brand managers who have like these amount of expectations? And
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
another question coming from a Facebook user is that uh, is are PR agencies becoming extension of advertising agencies in this context?
Okay, I'll answer the first part first. Yes, clients
Mhm.
have a lot of expectations. And I think Prachi has summed it up very well. And I think, there's a lot of pressure on Copcom also to keep justifying I mean, I think
That's
Copcom and
true.
agencies today are working together to justify to business owners or management their roles.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, this is the way it works. And obviously, Copcom measurability is also so difficult, right? Uh, if I may say so, no print media in the country will give you the correct numbers, right? There is
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
one correct number for print media. Half of the influencers have bot followers. Let's be like very candid. A lot of
Yeah.
big,
Yeah. Sure. Hmm.
supposedly influencers today have bot followers. Engagement rate is the only way to calculate certain things, and the amount of money these people ask, everybody asks, how do you justify, like what is the justification? It's very difficult. So obviously Copcom has to put these measures in check, because otherwise you're paying 3 lakh rupees to somebody to do a reel for you, and you don't even know what the brand is going to get out of it.
Hmm. Very true. Very true. I think it's.
Yeah,
You
that's
can
the
see the
practical
amount of
reality.
pressure.
Yeah,
You
so
can
there
see
is
the.
pressure, no? And like the the spends that are being asked, or the things are not justified in terms of what they are getting. People are getting in return for it. I remember many years ago, before you both might have been in the professional industry, there was a lady called Sabina Sehgal Saikia who used to write the Friday review in Delhi Times of a new restaurant. That is measurability. Do you know whether the review was good or bad or average? That Friday, the review used to be published in Delhi Times. That restaurant used to be full and booked to capacity.
Hmm. Hmm.
Entire
Hmm.
weekend. Because that was the amount of curiosity her column used to generate. आज के
Hmm.
दिन measurability कोई publication guarantee नहीं कर सकती.
Yeah. No, that is true. So, and you can see the amount of pressure. Prachi is sitting in a car, truly living her brand right now, right? And making sure that the brand is visible in subtle ways. But Prachi, do you agree with Sonali here? Is it that uh, because of the fragmentation, the pressure is mounting, and that you're not able to justify on a day-to-day basis why you're existing?
Definitely pressure is mounting, but I think on the brand side also people are understanding what they want and what they don't want. Today when I am talking to a particular agency, I don't say I want 500 coverage or 500 stories. Give me two stories, but they should be of quality. Your quality happens to be a bigger criteria than it is on quantity. Earlier, perhaps when I was younger in an agency, we were like, okay, I got 300 coverage for my client. My client questioned back, okay, you got 300 coverage, which is great, but how many of them were of quality? How many of them
Hmm.
actually went to the readers? How many people
Yeah.
viewed the story, right? Now that is changing, and clients are understanding that they don't want quantity anymore, they want quality work.
Very nice.
So that is where I think pressure kind of reduces on the agency as well, because even if they do one story a month, but it's a banger, clients are happy.
So very interesting. I think we've kind of looked at every aspect of how we are seeing PR evolving. We're going to just give a summary of it. First is the spends are going to increase. They're going to be optimized on where they were, where they were functioning, but more spends are going to come to PR. And so PR people will have to evolve, they will have to embrace the new, they will have to read up, study digital, as Sonali was just recently saying, and and just move into this new dimension, which is, I mean, uniroach kind of dimension. For that, I think um, a lot of people and a lot of companies would also have to embrace the role of PR, that it's going to change quite a bit, and they will have to move the and shift the objectives to being a uniroach for PR, building trust and longer term spends. That's where we have, summarizing the discussion so far. I have some more questions coming in, which is coming again from Tarun. What is the top 2023 skill set every PR agency needs to develop to adopt the dynamic environment we find ourselves in? Sonali, what are we going
Digital,
to adopt?
digital and
Digital?
social skills. Digital
Yeah.
and social skills.
Digital and social.
And
Prachi, what do you
learning to
want from
correctly
your
measure
agency?
and learning
Data
to correctly
analysis.
measure digital.
Digital. Okay. And Prachi, what are you expecting from your agency to adopt?
Understanding data. Understanding
And
data, being able to study data. I can give you all the numbers, but help me write a story out of it. So I think
oh,
data analysis
nice.
becomes very important for me.
Fantastic, fantastic. And well, we have a Facebook user saying that reading is not happening at all. Is that a problem, Prachi? It is a video led world, but video also doesn't stay in memory. But what you read stays in mind. Even today, I love making notes as it gets registered. But seldom I find young people making notes that say I'm recording. But when phone crashed, you know, kaput goes the recording. So what are you seeing? Are you seeing that there is a lack of attention, not only from your the teams that you're working with, but there's a lack of attention from your brand users, etc.? How are you dealing with this lack of attention?
Definitely, definitely. See, what, like I say, all your mediums continue to evolve. To certain set of people, reading still remains a very important criteria. They still wake up. So, for example, my parents, they still wake up, still read the newspaper, still make their judgment basis the newspaper. However, for me, I want to see a 15-second video on what I'm getting into, what I'm getting
Mhm.
myself into. Now, again, that depends on your brand's end TG. Who do you really want to cater to? Who do you really want to reach out to? And basis that you decide what happens and what is more important to your customers. So that is subjective. That depends from person to person and brand to brand.
Hmm, got it. And I'm just looking at some questions which I might have missed. All these survey numbers on the report are impressive, but what does this mean for a regular agency professional in the industry today? Meaning that, all what we are seeing, that there is growth, there will be resilience that PR agencies will face. But what does it mean for a professional sitting in an agency today? And we all know that PR folks sitting in agencies have a tendency to fall out, whether they fall out into Copcom or they fall out into other streams of marketing. But Sonali, you tell us, is for a regular agency professional in the industry today, the dynamic environment, what does this mean?
I think it's very good. People can specialize. People can get better at certain fields. I don't think everybody has to go into Copcom. Some people are happier in agency. I think that's absolutely fine. They might specialize or they might open something, some brand new agency. They might become entrepreneurs. I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, okay. Okay, and I think I'm just looking at the questions again. One, two, three, four. Yeah, so we, mm, yeah. So our survey results also indicate that the state results state that PR and com still has major priority for brands, pipping even social media. So we say that yeah, PR is going to be a spend, and there is an increase in spends as what our survey participants have told us. So if this is a priority, what's with the reduced budgets and the extra effort in negotiations with agencies? Are you negotiating, Prachi, with your agency?
Always negotiating. That's
Okay,
an
what's the pressure about? Hmm.
No, I mean, you want your extra value for money, right? You always want to save money wherever you can. So people definitely try to negotiate. This is a very
Yeah,
human nature. But having said that, we brands don't mind paying for the work that they are getting. They are happy to
got
spend
it.
more if they know that this is going to churn into a better ROI.
And Sonali, what are you seeing? Is there always negotiations on?
Yeah, and I think brands are also spending on more factors. Earlier they used to
Yeah,
spend only on media. Now they have to spend on media. Then they have to spend on influencers. Then they have to spend on SEO, hygiene SEO to karenge. There's lot more buckets to spend the same amount of money. So yes, they will negotiate.
okay. So you think negotiations are fine? Also, we live in India, and there is a maximum value that we want to derive from every service with minimum value paid. So that is going to stay okay. I think we've spent the last 1 hour pretty quickly, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of us have more questions. So, folks, there's Sonali and Prachi, last words, okay, in 7 words. Okay, seven. I heard somewhere is the golden rule for statements that if you, it's a 7 word statement. So, 7 words for what you should expect in 2023. First to Prachi, then to Sonali, and then we wrap this up.
In 2023, all we're expecting is evolve, learn, unlearn, and be creative and implement PR however you want to. There's a lot of scope for
Okay.
implementation and creativity now.
Okay, great. Sonali,
Think 360 degrees and
you
create
made it in
stories.
3 words. Yeah, wow. Think 360 degrees and think stories, you said.
Think storytelling.
Think storytelling.
5 words.
Very nice. Prachi, Sonali, I must admit that I didn't even see the clock once during the whole conversation. The insights you brought to the table were fantastic. And the way I mean, I'm sure the audience taken a lot of insights back. Uh, to just wrap it up, thank you for being here. And I thank PRPOI for building and bringing us all together to have such a wonderful discussion. Uh, I am, the PRPOI team has worked for almost 3 months to make this happen, and it of course then we see that the uh, conversation today was a very well-rounded discussion, right? So all our episodes are now simulcasted on YouTube, so you can watch it. If you were not there, please share and let others also see. And let's talk, engage, and learn together. Thank you for joining us today. Before we wind up, I will take a moment to thank our content curators, Tarun, Sonali, Pooja. Thank you for driving this forward with me and my wonderful team at Wizikey. They put the survey together. And guys, thank you so much. It's a Saturday morning. There's a weekend lying ahead. We'll wrap this up and see you soon again.
Thank you, Akriti. It was a pleasure. Thank you, Prachi. I think it was a really fun conversation today. And like you said, didn't get a chance to look at the clock even once because it was just like firecracker.
Thank you, Akriti. It was like amazing, super interesting, very refreshing conversation, by the way. I must admit, very refreshing. Feeling all energetic now to see what we can do in the next few years.
Okay, great. See you soon. See you guys again soon over a different conversation. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you, audience. Thank you, everyone who was listening in.